Welcome,
Thank
welcome.
you.
Oh, welcome to the space. Thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself, how you got into PR and branding and the world that is?
Okay, well, basically, I've been in the world of entertainment for about, over 20 years. I used to be a performer myself, and then I merged into management, PR and branding. And now I'm no longer performing, but I've just kept on the branding part, the PR and branding. Management, I look at occasionally, but at the moment my main thing is the PR and branding.
And it is so important, I think, especially with modern audiences now, the way the world is moving, you know, in terms of technology stuff. Branding yourself and doing your own PR is so important as a performer, isn't it?
It really is, yes, because if you hire, let's say, a PR and branding agency, it can be really expensive. So I remember 20 years ago, Max Clifford, can we mention that name, Max Clifford? Anyway, Max Clifford.
We can.
But I remember 20 years ago, he was charging £10,000 per month. So that was then, 20 years ago. So you can imagine today, it should be 15,000, 20,000 per month if you get someone to do it for you. So there is a way that you can learn how to do it yourself. And this is what my company does. So if you come to Famous Branding, then I take you through all the steps. It's a step-by-step process with 7 steps in it. And then you can go off on your own and organise it all yourself.
And run your own. I think, especially with things like social media and stuff now as well, it's much easier, isn't it, for people to access their own sort of PR and their own sort of marketing. How important is it as a performer to know what your brand is and to be able to sell that?
It is so important because most performers, they know what talent they've got, or they feel that they have a talent, but the talent is not enough. So if you can organise some kind of PR and branding to set yourself apart from the rest, then you're on a winning ebb to start with.
So if someone was just starting out in the industry, what sort of advice would you give them about finding out what their brand is and how to then promote that?
Well, the advice I would give would be to read my book when it comes out this year.
Which is a perfect bit of PR right there.
Which is also called Famous Branding, and it's going to be out at some stage this year, spring, summertime.
Okay, and where will people be able to find that?
They'll find it on Amazon, or they'll find it on my website, which is famousbranding.com.
And why don't you just touch on it now and give us a little bit of, just a little piece of your pearls of wisdom. How can they get started? What's 3 things that young performers could do to help kickstart their own branding and their own PR?
Well, first they have to discover themselves what their exact talent is. It may not be the talent that they think they've got, because a lot of performers, they identify a talent that they think they've got, or an area that they think they want to go into. And somewhere through the process, they can find out that actually isn't their talent, and that their forte lies in another talent. Now that could take them between 1 to 5 years, or even 10 years to discover that. So, you know, if they could come to such as myself and we can identify together where their talent lies, then they've found out what their brand message is and what their identity is. So that's one thing that's really, really important. The other thing is their image. They may or may not have a good image, but even if they've got a good image, it might be the wrong image. So whatever their talent or their identity is, they need to find an image that coincides with whatever that talent is. And another thing, you actually touched on it in the last question, was social media. So in the olden days, it was just traditional press and PR. Now that's still important, But now, especially in the last 5-10 years, social media has really come to the forefront. So you really need to get your head around social media. And it's not just about setting it up, because most people know how to set social media up. It's knowing all the tricks of the trade, how to get yourself out there or how to go viral.
And I mean, people forget how powerful that can be as well. You hear about celebrities getting themselves in trouble, so much trouble just from like one tweet that they've sent that they haven't thought about, and 2 seconds later they're in a world of trouble.
That's right, yes. But then you say they're in trouble,
It's getting them in the papers.
Exactly, good PR, bad PR, it's all good.
It's all PR, darling.
Exactly.
This is very true. Now, you did mention sort of knowing your brand, and I think people quite often think they've got a talent when they don't have that. And I think that's very true. I think a lot of performers, especially ones who are going into drama school, are sort of given such a broad range of ways to perform, what they can do, what they can do. Yes, you're great at that. Yes, you're great at that. Yes, you're great at that. But I think it's also important to know the niche in the market as well. Keith Lemon is never going to host This Morning, but he's also a very successful presenter. I'm never going to be Dame Judi Dench as much as I'd love to be. It's that is, I would say, key. Would you not agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's all about my the first element within my system, finding out who you are and what you're good at.
Yeah. So this is something that you specialise in, obviously. Yep. You've got your book coming out, which is very, very exciting.
Yes.
What's the release date for that?
There's no actual release date as such, but we're just, my publisher and I are looking at spring, summer of this year. Yeah.
So before your book is out, you've got an ebook, you've got your website.
Yes.
You're also going to be conducting a workshop tomorrow, aren't you?
I am.
Do you want to tell us about that? People who want to get involved in that.
Okay, well, basically, it's a workshop that gives you an intro into what we do. So it tells you about all my systems. It's like a 7-step process. If you want to come along to it, it's in room C tomorrow, and I think it's at is it
2:45? I think. Yeah.
You know more than I do.
I got you covered.
Thank you. Yeah, 2:45 in room C.
Yeah.
And I think you'll find it highly enlightening. Well, I hope you do anyway.
And now we've also got a couple of prizes that we're going to give out to some people in the audience here. But before we get to that, what's one final piece of advice that you would give to people who are in the performing industry? Final piece of advice that can help take their PR or their branding to that next level. What's one thing that they can take away from this?
The advice is this industry can be very short-lived. So what I would say is just don't waste time. Try to get to know the system. Try to get to know how it works, and just get yourself out there, get yourself noticed, because it's so easy to waste 5 or 10 years. I mean, if I can just give you a little example. I don't know if anybody's been following X Factor, but one of the last winners, she was the runner-up, Fleur East. I mean, a phenomenal talent, yet it took her 10 years to get there. You got to ask yourself the question, why did it take her 10 years to get there with that amount of talent? So, that could be you, and if you know the right tricks of the trade to get yourself out there, then you don't have to waste that 5 or 10 years, and you could be out there within a year, let's say, if not sooner.
All right, it's been an absolute pleasure. You've been an absolute giggle. This is Cindy Harvey, Famous Branding. Do check out the website, and of course the workshop is tomorrow, 2:45. And I'll be keeping my eye out for that book.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
You shall have an invite.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Cindy Harvey.
Thank you very much.